Alright guys, well it's a new day. Hot rods. I don't really know what I'm gonna do today, but my buddy Mike, I wanted some straps made, and he made these himself, the whole thing, the buckle, absolutely everything. And it's this cool leather, so it's all kind of dark and stuff, but if you twist it, it lightens up. So I dig it. So, I want to mount these somehow, some way. And he actually gave it to me on the screw it to this plank of wood, and he actually used self-tapping screws. So I'm going to use those. I'm going to probably rivet it in, but I'm sure these little self-tappers will be small enough it won't make a big deal. The other thing I was going to do, man, you guys barbecued me on this tank about how it's going to be full of rust and stuff. So I think I'm just going to clean up the edge. I'm going to cut one side of it off, take a look inside, and then it's big enough around I can just kind of run my grinder and get all the junk out of it, or most of the junk out, and either coat it or do something, or I don't know, maybe it'll just be perfect inside. Who knows? Actually, a little sandblaster I could probably use too, but that's the plan for right now. We'll see how much progress I make and how long this takes, but yeah, let's get after it. Well, I'm not going to say you guys were right, but yeah, I might have been a little wrong there. So, my plan is I'm just going to, there's lots of room there, I'll just kind of go back and forth a little bit with my grinder with the flap disc on it. The only thing is this thing went all fucking ring oblong when I cut it off, but I guess it's double wall. Had I known that, I could have cut it a little different, but what are you going to do? Get in there, clean it all up. Now I got the end off. These are those bolts I just jammed in, so I can probably clean that up and double weld them on the inside for extra sealing. Because I feel like once this goes back on, the odds of it not leaking now with how much I butchered it are slim to none. But I'll clean it up, weld it back together, seal all over everything, and hope for the best. Little bit of rust in there, but we got it mostly cleaned out. I'm happy with it. It's not perfect, but I think it'll be just fine with the fuel filter 6 on there. So next I'm just going to cut those bolts off, re-weld those, be able to get in there actually and weld up that a little bit just on the inside just because I can, and all I have is that one. Seal all that sucker, and then cap this thing back up. Maybe we'll smack it, see if we can get a little more round. Weld it back together, put it back in the car. Alright, well, I welded the tar out of the inside of these. Got to just kind of tack weld it back together. So now I'm just going to burn it all in. I'll probably clean it down and then do it once more. So I'm obsessed with trying to have it not leak on the first try. And yeah, plunk this sucker back in this car. Well, there you go. That sucker's all welded back together. It's hot. I vetoed a few areas where the weld went kind of funny. Otherwise, I was pretty happy with it. I think it should be just fine. I went real wide on it. Clean it all up real nice. So that should be just fine. And I think I'm going to put these on. Maybe go have a little something to eat while that tank cools off. I'll put it back in, screw around on the garage. Not too sure I'm going to do just yet, but I'll strap this thing together. So, not really a whole lot of rhyme or reason and how these are going to go together. But, like I said, my buddy Mike made these. So they're just some sort of weird leather with the oils in them, and I guess as you turn them, it goes light. And this is all copper or whatever, I guess, so it'll get all green and mangle up with time. So I'm kind of thinking I want the buckle in the center ish, kind of like that. Screw them in, and then deal with the consequences later. The trick is not to measure anything ever. You'll always be happy. I'm thinking I'll probably just put like a strip of rubber or something on either the tail or the deck lid or the pan or something like that. So middle of the third louver, so it'll match. Pretty much. How far over to go? My ball says it's good. Well, I think that looks wicked. Oh, that looks cool. Suits the car. It's like old luggage or whatever. And I mean, ultimately, I can just punch another hole or do whatever. See how crazy this is. If I don't like it, weld a few little holes in there and put my little spritz on it, which I have just in case. I think that'll be just perfect. But that's it for now. Supper time. Well, after supper, came out, worked for a little bit. Feeling a little lazy tonight. Yeah, so these are on. That's kind of cool. I just dumped the fuel tank in. It still fits, which is good. So I figured a way to strap that down. And then I just kind of started poking around on the floors. Junk everywhere in here. But, so this front floor pan, because I want to have it removable, I ended up just kind of putting a brace in, kind of double wall, so it can fit on something. I can screw it all in, so I'll just screw it in here along that, and then the front, and I put a pile of ribs in it just so it's a little more sturdy, but that'll kind of do something along those lines. I think that's where I'm gonna leave it tonight, because I think the next thing I'm gonna do is start working on the firewall, bringing it down, and then carrying on with this structure around the actual bell housing. And then that side of the floor should be pretty easy. This side's gonna be a little tricky. Oh, actually, here's what I did here. So I ended up moving this front brace, so it's pretty good. So this is where the pedal naturally wants to stop, and can go back just a little bit. I thought let's put a little piece of rubber in there, and that'll be the brake stop. So I thought that was pretty good. And like I said, you know, got lots of travel there, but I'll have to figure out where the brace will go there for the floor to be in, and then cut like a horseshoe or whatever you want to call it. So that'll all work, but that's it for tonight. All right, guys, well, it's the next day. So I've been out in the garage a little bit, kind of messing around. I think where I left it, I had this little plate done, so I ended up finishing welding kind of the boxing in, and then I carried on to the front structure. So I'm pretty happy with it. The pedal's gonna have travel and not touch anything. I made a little kind of box around the steering shaft, so I'm thinking I'll make a little plate there with like a U in it, and then just put some like bristles off like a snow brush or something like that around it, just so it kind of holds everything under, or maybe a piece of rubber, not really too sure. This side wasn't too bad at all. I should be able to make some plates. So now I can start working on the tunnel. But before I do that, I actually want to start working on the firewall. So you can see right where the distributor is. I'm going to have to build like kind of a coffee can style thing. But I think we're going to do, let's do the firewall in two pieces, kind of split it down to each side of the cut, over on each side. Then I can do the floor, and then I can just have the coffee can kind of, or whatever you want to call it, half of a pipe or whatever, go in and weld to it, or it might even just be removable with a couple of screws or something like that, just because never know I'm gonna have to get in there. But the firewall is what I want to work on, so I'm thinking I'll be able to just kind of stitch it in. I'll fold it so it has a little bit of a curve, and I can actually weld it on the outside of the car. So almost kind of stick it in, fold it over, weld it, and it should be okay. I mean, it won't look perfect, but be good enough for me. And then fold it back a little and join it right up into here, so a bit of a kick to it. I'm hoping, anyways. That's what I have in my head. We'll see how it goes, but I'll start. I'll make a little template, and we'll see how far I got in this first one. Then we'll go from there. Here's what I've come up with. So I just kind of carried the roll over. I'm gonna end up kind of folding that piece in and just welding it. But it turned out pretty good. Oh yeah, store zip tied. On the inside, I ended up building it out of two pieces. So you got the piece that rolls around, and I did a little floor piece that kind of flanges it out. So it's all just kind of ugly tacked in, but I think it's good enough. So now obviously I need a piece here, another flat piece that I'll bead roll, and then everything else is just going to be kind of little pieces that I'm sure I'm just going to cut by hand and kind of weld in. So my thought is I'll probably pull this panel out, and I got a different set of nuts and bolts so I can properly bolt the body down to the chassis. And I think I'm going to start tack welding this side of the floor in and work my way over there. It was a bit boring doing that firewall, I'm not going to lie. And I'm just, what the real pain is leaning on this stupid bar is painful on the back. So if I can get everything kind of in, and these stupid Clecos, they're really handy, but trying to move around them is an absolute nightmare. So I think I'm going to take it all out, clean it up, and just start tacking the floor together, so I'm happy with it. Like I said, after I get the floor and all that dialed in. But yeah, it's going pretty good. Alright, so I made that little front panel. I didn't put any beads in or nothing. It was so small, I thought it was fine. Just kind of tacked it down to this panel. I pulled the back panel out. I drilled my little holes. Cut my hand. There where the body mounts are. So that can all kind of be tack welded back together. So I'm just going to kind of burn it all together, and then underneath where all the stitching is, I can just kind of go up and give it a few little buzzes. Shouldn't need too much. I did drill a few holes around where I can plug weld it and stuff like that, where all the Clecos are and stuff. But that's kind of that. I mean, floors aren't solid welded in new cars, so I can't imagine it would need to do on this. And then this thing here, when I had it off, I drilled a bunch of holes where all the bracing was. So I just kind of put my shoulder in it. I'll plug weld that so it'll be in, and then same thing, I'll go in from the back and stitch it all together a little bit nicer. But yeah, I think now, set you up on the time lapse. We'll start burning this side in, maybe work on the back side, take a break for supper, and get back on it after I have something to eat. Ah, nice rainy day. So that's where we ended up. Everything's all kind of tacked in. I don't know if you'll see or not, but that's the bolts are there, so I can get a socket in there. I can actually drill it a little bigger, but that'll be fine. I got the back plug welded in, so everything's got strength to it. I'm happy with it. It'll need lots of more welding, obviously, but just wanted to get it all in. I'm gonna take this top piece out and grind against the body, so I can kind of buzz that in. And I don't think I have any. I'm gonna get some seam sealer and seam seal everything, so it'll be all nice. That's done. I'll have to weld that panel in, which actually should be pretty easy. And then that panel's gonna be removable. And then I can start kind of doing up the transmission, get that all nice and covered up. Yeah, it'll actually be a legitimate car, at least car floor. And then all I gotta do is the panel up around the firewall and where the brake and gas pedal are gonna be. But supper time now. Okay, finished supper. I uploaded all the footage from this. I totally forgot yesterday even existed, I guess, so video's getting a little long. So I'm thinking maybe I'll just set up the time lapse, start smashing on the floors for a little bit. Like I said, that side's gonna be done. This side I could probably do real quick, and then maybe start working on the tunnel. I think I'm just gonna kind of mangle a bunch of metal in there and start cutting it and welding it and be done with it. So get going on that. We'll kind of finish it off there. Yeah, maybe I'll get to the firewall, see how the night goes, but that's the plan. Well, as you can tell, the GoPro died. So I made a bunch more progress. I got the panels spaced out probably, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch away from each other. So it's all tacked well together. That way when I'm going to fill the gaps with weld, so I know they're welded together and they're going to be welded to the structure, because I cut them all with the structure. So that should be just fine. But all my batteries are dead. It's a little after midnight. I've run out of jam. So we'll be back at it tomorrow after work. But that side's basically done all the way around the tunnel. I just got to do these little kind of pie pieces. And then around the tunnel, which is... that was stupid. That's going to be a lot of work. And so I'll probably get those pie pieces done, start welding that tomorrow. And then I got to do a bunch of screwing around. I got the firewall done, like I did on the other side. That actually wasn't too bad of a job. And then around the pedals and steering will be a whole debauchery, but I'll leave that for last. That looks like the most fun. Alright, see you guys tomorrow. Well, it's the next day around lunchtime. Not gonna lie, I've actually been working on this pile of junk, and I really didn't do any filming because all I was doing was welding in all the metal that you guys already see me make and Cleco in place and all that stuff. So I figured probably been going at it for 4 or 5 hours. that's pretty boring to watch. But there we go. So I think the camera cut off last time I hadn't made all those panels. So she's basically all welded together all the way back. I got this thing in. I welded it solid, so it looks like it's kind of one piece. There's a bit of a gap at the back there, but I'll just seam seal that. Unfortunately, I don't have a seam sealer, so I'll get some tomorrow, maybe after work. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It'll be good enough to be painted black and carpet on it. I got that front panel in, around front. I ended up getting both sides of the firewall in. So basically now I just got to figure out what I want to do with the distributor. It's got just like a little, hopefully it's not too dark. I bent this actually around. I might just use this and build sides to it and have it carry on in. And then I just got to build a few pieces around there, which I'm thinking I might be kind of lazy because there's never giving you load on that. So I might just kind of make it in 2 pieces and weld it, and it might be a little dunk dunk, but since you're not standing on it, who cares? And then screwing around with the steering and all that, so I'll leave that fun bit for last. But yeah, actually I'm pretty stoked with it. Came around pretty good. But the weather's coming around. It was actually super cold this morning. It was right at freezing, and it's like May. But I want to push this thing outside and test out my new floor winch and see if it'll suck it back in. If not, I'll just push it in the creek and be done with it. But unfortunately, that means I gotta move a pile of junk, story of my life, out of the driveway. And I think I'm just gonna do that. Push it outside, take a nice little thumbnail picture, and start on to the next video, which will be degreasing the motor and kind of cleaning it all up because this thing's just dirty. So yeah, we'll see how this goes getting her outside. Alright, all safetied up. Move the Kia. Why are there so many keychains? Such a pain in the ass. This car drives me nuts. I want to get the other cars contaminated. Ugh. Oh my god. Why is it so dirty? Ugh. I'm out of breath there to park my Kia down the block just so it doesn't get any of my stuff infected. Come on. Right on. Alright, go dump this thing on the street. Ooh, this pile of junk. I keep forgetting about this scrap metal, but it's really getting in the way of my free time. So here's what I've come up with. Push the junk over. Car's straightened out, just do the floor jack with that. I got my slick little cable running back to my bolted down winch, running off the booster pack. Oh, Danny just walked out, perfect timing. I need you to hold the phone and film this just in case it goes sideways.
Okay.
We're gonna try and push the car out. Huh?
No, don't show me face. I got 2 big zits.
Yeah, I know.
I know, I can't believe you didn't say anything, thank you.
You're welcome. Alright, let's mangle this.
Is there a specific angle you would like from me?
Really? Well, I mean, there's an angle I like to use.
I'm not talking about my boobs.
Well, I guess let's just see how this goes.
Did you make like a little winch contraption?
A winch? Yeah. A winch drum. Don't want it to go full speed into the thing and then
Go in the creek?
rip the bolts out of the winch. Really just want to have the front wheels start dragging. Oh god. Nice to just start doing this whole thing. You know, it's so hard to push it up the driveway. Nothing wants to leave.
Well, you give everything such a good home.
Bad on my nerves, just gotta clear away.
Uh-huh.
This is where Murder to catch it would have been really good. Oh, I never even factored factor in the traffic situation. Imagine that perfect timing. We T-bone a school bus into the creek. Roll away.
But not too far. Well, there it goes. You want me to just give it a little push?
Give her a little nudge.
This is very tedious.
Yeah. It is a lot easier than pushing it by myself, though. Oh, you can see all the pinholes in the chop now. It's in the sunlight. I need a couple of redos. All right. She'll go now.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Come on.
She's going.
Give it a roll on the wheel. There you go. Ah. Oh. Look at that.
Look, it's an outside car. This thing looks way cooler in the daylight.
Pretty stoked on it. Hot rod. It is sunny. Alright, well I guess we're going to leave this video. It's a schmozzle. The next one, which I'm going to start right now, it's actually a decent day out. We're going to pressure wash the motor, see how that goes. And the front axle and all that stuff, so...
There's no we, you're doing that.
No, we got to go to Mersk. We got to drop the truck off and bring the hot rods home. So, running it there. Like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends, really appreciate it. We're going like crazy. And, yeah, looks like we did pretty good in that international car show for the boss. So if you guys voted, I really appreciate it. If you were in the live stream the other day, thank you very much. See you guys on the next one.